Okay, hello challengers, and this is your next video, and I've got quite a bit to cover. I'm still going to try to keep it as short as I can. However, I think it's going to have kind of an important piece to the puzzle maybe. So first of all, let me just say the attachment that I sent in the last email, yes, fill that out and send it to me, because that's how you get the personalized stuff taken care of, as opposed to just the group stuff. If it was just me filming videos and putting them up for you to go look at, then I could just do that on YouTube and it's no big deal. But when I send you something that has questions, fill it out, send it back to me, and that way I get a little bit of a feel for what you need personally, as opposed to the more broad things. The questions that you send in, though, sometimes they're really awesome, and the person that sent in questions for the last video, it wasn't really even pertaining to the video, it was just like, hey, these are my questions. Tiffany, y'all can thank her, because I really think this may be the missing piece of the puzzle for some, because yes, we need to change the way that we think about food and everything, but sometimes I tend to miss some things because they are so basic and like second nature to me that I forget how important they are. So one of her questions, or a group of her questions, was in regards to grocery planning, meal planning, grocery shopping, meal prepping, all of that. How do you do that? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take you through how I plan my weekly shopping list. Now, let me be very, very clear before we get started. I'm not going to give you a shopping list, okay? Because you may not be in the same part of your journey that I am. You probably don't eat the same foods that I do. You may not have a 16-year-old boy in your house. So you're not going to have the exact same shopping list. So don't get caught on that, because that's one of the biggest things that I want you to get is throughout this whole process. If you feel like you need somebody to tell you how and what to eat, you're missing the boat. You are missing the boat, and nothing is ever going to work for you, because it's your body and you're the one that has to have the final say on what goes in it. Okay? So that is the basics of what we're going to be learning, which is intuitive eating. So, but okay, grocery shopping and grocery list. There's a very overused, but still good quote that says, what is it? It's the fail to plan, plan to fail. And if you go to the grocery store without any kind of preparation, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. Kind of like if you go to the grocery store hungry, you're going to buy everything in sight, and it's mostly going to be junk, because it's readily available and your brain has taken over. And like we talked about last video, your ghrelin levels are probably going to be high, which is going to make you crave more junk. Something else, by the way, in your paperwork that we talk about the basics, if you're not getting enough sleep, scientists, and they were talking about it all on the radio this morning, but scientists do state that if you do not get enough sleep, enough restful sleep, I'm not talking about, I go to bed at this time and I wake up at this time, but I don't really, you have to rest, you have to get some sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, then you will crave junk food. And that's just because it sets your hormones off balance. Just one night of not getting enough sleep. So if you are a chronic not enough sleeper, for you, that's for you, okay? Then it's going to throw you way off, and that could be why you are craving junk and all. Am I going to give you the magic pill that helps you do all of that? No, but you need to know what's going on in terms of your sleep and everything. So that's part of the personal thing, because some of y'all are getting enough sleep and some of you aren't. So figure your shit out and send it back to me. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. My grocery list looks like this when I get started. Completely blank. I use this part up here to do a couple of really, really awesome things that I think are really helpful. One, I'm going to put on here, so let's say normally I would go grocery shopping on Friday, so and I shop on Friday for that week. So I'm going to say Thursday, Thanksgiving. Why do I put that on there? My handwriting is awful and it's all over the place. Whatever. Because it reminds me of something that's going on. So obviously we're up on a holiday. Okay, so I'm going to use that, but I'm also going to tell you how you can use it on like weekly basis. The reason why I put Thanksgiving, it's not because Thanksgiving has snuck up on me and I have no clue when it is. It's going to remind me of two things. It's going to remind me that A, I'm supposed to bring something to the family gathering. So I need to make sure that I put that on the list because I have to take it and it's outside of my family's meal plan. B, it's also going to remind me that that's a point where we are eating away from home. So I need to not factor in buying all that food because we're actually going to eat that meal away from home. If you're celebrating 2 Thanksgivings, you're going to eat that meal away from home. If you host a Thanksgiving and you get to keep a lot of the leftovers, factor that in to what you're going to do throughout the rest of the week, okay? Meal planning is not super difficult. We just try to make it super difficult. So Thanksgiving, the fact that we have Thanksgiving coming up next Thursday, it reminds me of those 2 very important things. In day-to-day or week-to-week life, what it would be is, December 10th, my son has a band concert, and it is a concert where they do feed us. We pay for a ticket, and we get a spaghetti dinner and all this. So I write that on the top because that way I know I'm eating at the school that night. I don't need to prepare dinner. I don't need to have everything done. So that it helps me with that. If your kids are heavily involved in sports or in multiple sports, which a lot of kids are, maybe you have a baseball game Tuesday night for one of your kids at 6 and then the other kid's baseball game is at 7 and you're not going to be home until 8:30 or 9. So you need to write that on there because you're going to need to do one of 2 things. You're either going to need to make sure that you have food ready and packed, or you're going to need to make sure that you grab something while you're out because you need to eat as well as your family needs to eat. So it's important to just know these things. So that's the first thing that I do is I look at my schedule for the week. If I have a very busy schedule outside of my normal schedule of seeing clients every evening and things like that, if I have other things come up, like if I'm speaking somewhere on the weekend and I know I'm going to be gone during that time, or if I'm speaking during the week, which sometimes happens, and I know I'm going to be gone during that time, I'll write that down. This week we had a schedule shift because I started seeing very, very early morning clients. And because of that, it kind of changed things and made us have to switch some breakfast things around. And that was something that I needed to know because it makes things easier if I know that ahead of time. So that's part of what I use that column for, okay, is to put what I'm doing that week. Just little reminders. So I do that. So Thursday, Thanksgiving. Then another thing that I do for the column is I put what I already have. So for us, there's a few things that are going on in our personal home right now. My nose is itching like crazy. Okay, we're fine. We're cool. It's hunting season is upon us, and my husband and my kids both love to hunt, or all love to hunt. My daughter will get to hunt this year. So she's super excited. And last year we had 2.5 deer between, for all the hunting, because my husband goes with other family members. So we had 2.5 deer that we had processed. We have sausage, and we ate all the backstrap because that goes boom. We do a lot of sausage because it's super easy. We have pan sausage, link sausage. So I write in that column, I will write over here what I have because I don't like to waste food. So I have sausage, which I need to do stuff with because, like I said, hunting season is upon us again. Alan and Debbie are both going to be gone most of next week hunting. So, and then we bought the stuff last week for fish tacos, but I didn't make them. Right now, what I'm sitting on, what I have made for this week is I made a huge batch of chicken soup. And then I made some tuna casserole because Alan and the kids love that. It's not my deal, but Alan and the kids love it. And then Alan made chili last night. So those are 3 big things that we have sitting in the fridge that we need to eat. So we're done cooking for the week. That's it. Everybody has their pick of what they want to eat. I also roasted some vegetables. I roasted some potatoes and I roasted some Brussels sprouts so that people can do that. And I also always keep salads and dressings on hand so that people can, if they're feeling salady, this time of year, the salads aren't really as good. And so we, sometimes I'll mix one together, but most of the time people go more for the roasted vegetables and stuff. It's a winter thing or a weather thing. Usually when it's summery, we want the colder stuff, and when it's starting to get cold, we want the warmer stuff. It's just the way your body it tries to balance itself out. So anyways, on that side, I will put or in that column, I'll put what I have, what I already have made, what I have to work with, all of that. Okay. And then another thing that I'll usually do, we haven't even talked about any of this yet because we aren't even going to think about our grocery list probably till tomorrow. We're procrastinators, so that's the way we do things. But I don't sit down and make a family meeting out of it, but I will say, what do you want to eat? So I'm giving you our personal what's going on next week. Alan and Debbie are going to be at the Dearleys, so we're going to need to get some snacks for them to take to the Dearleys. Just a few, because they go with my father-in-law and my brother-in-law as well, who also take food. So they all kind of pair up and figure out who's going to bring what, and then they cook dinners while they're there and all that. So we figure out what kind of snacks they're going to take. Usually they'll take cereal, they'll take lunch meat, things like that, quick things, easy stuff. We always send some fruits and vegetables so that they have something fresh there as well. And that's going to have to go on the list. Now, how do I know that? Because I'm looking into my tiny glass ball called my calendar, and I'm seeing that Alan and Debbie are going to be gone. Now, with Alan and Debbie gone, that leaves myself and Kobe by ourselves through Wednesday. So I'll sit down with Kobe and I'll go, dude, what do you want to eat next week? And he's going to say fish tacos because that's what we have. And so we will be having fish tacos, and then I'm going to let him pick a couple of other things, whatever he wants that can kind of fit into what it is we're trying to do. Okay, so does that make sense? Like you don't sit your family down and go, dude, I'm trying to lose weight, so we're eating chicken and broccoli, deal. No, okay? It's gonna end up hurting your family, and it'll end up hurting you. So give them a say, give them a say and be like, okay, what do you want? And if your kids are always like, I want spaghetti and meat sauce, it's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. I love spaghetti, but you can always mix in, say, okay, I see your spaghetti and meat sauce, and I raise you some vegetables. And for people who say they don't like vegetables, you just haven't cooked them right yet, darling. That's all that is. Please stop boiling your vegetables. Ugh. Don't do that. That just makes vegetables taste gross. Actually, roasting them, things like that, grilling vegetables works well if you're still, if you're a grill person. Grilling vegetables works, marinating vegetables rocks. Do that kind of thing. Let your kids, especially if you have kids that are under teenager age, get them involved in the process and allow them to go to the grocery store. Oh my gosh, no, because then I'll have to make them behave. Well, welcome to parenthood. Suck it up. Let them pick out some stuff. And if they pick out the weird cactus looking thing, be like, okay, as long as it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And figure out a way to cook it with them and let them have an active role, because it makes the transition into teenagerdom and having their own opinion about things a lot easier. Okay. That is just a freebie. That's not what this video is about, but it does help. So let your kids have a say in things, and they will be a lot more open to trying vegetables, trying new fruits, trying different dishes that aren't, like fried chicken all the time, if you allow them to have a hand in at least picking it out. Although I highly recommend that you also allow them to help you in the kitchen. So my type A personalities, you're going to have to turn it down. You don't always have to be in control. As a matter of fact, I have a newsflash for you. You're not always in control. Okay, so moving on. Then from there, what I do is I break it down by section of the grocery store. Most grocery stores are pretty much all set up kind of the same way. So over on this side, I put what produce I need, all right? And a lot of the time, I'm not going to joke with y'all, my grocery list looks almost the same every single week. A lot of the times we do the same produce. I told you we keep salads on hand. Yeah, I do bag salads. Some people don't dig them. I like the fact that they're easy. So we always have salads on hand. This time of year, squash is in season, so I'll usually do a lot of squash. We do vegetable soup. I usually will make a vegetable soup. There's a recipe for an awesome vegetable soup on my website. I do vegetable soup. Sometimes I'll do, like, I made chicken soup this week, which was basically vegetable soup with chicken in it. And then we usually will always have starchy vegetables, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. What else do we have? I don't eat broccoli because my stomach does not like broccoli, so we just don't. Brussels sprouts are coming into season, so I'll usually roast those because everybody likes them. They particularly like them when they're marinated in a olive oil balsamic vinegar glaze with just a little salt and pepper, usually is what they like. And so we book it through there. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. Over by the produce is like the whole food section, and that is usually where we will get our cereals. I'll get my almond milk there. We'll get, the kids take those little like snack bars sometimes to school, and we'll get those there. So all of that goes in that, like in the produce section here, okay? Then over on the other side, I'll put proteins. And what we've been doing, I do it like that. What we've been digging here lately is we go to a meat market over by my dad's house, and we buy 3 whole chickens every week. 3 whole chickens. And then we put them in the roaster on Sundays. We put them in the roaster with some onion, some garlic, a little salt, pepper, paprika, whatever you want in there. And we do that and cook them. We roast them just in the, a roaster, like a big pot roaster. We roast them for, I think it's 90 minutes at 375. And they're cooked perfectly. We skin them, we bone them. I do make a stock every week. That's just me. You don't have to. But because I make so many soups, I usually make a stock every week from the bones. I take the meat, I just put it all in a container. All right, so let's get to the meat as you go. And by the way, when you're buying your proteins, in your email, I had an article sent to me this week that is phenomenal about breaking down your meal planning and your grocery list and everything. So I'm sending you a link to that in your email. So make sure that you click on that and read your article, because it's going to talk about picking your proteins and things like that. Okay, so you can have chicken, you can have fish, you can have beef, you can have pork, you can have buffalo or bison is one of our favorites, although it can be a little pricey. So when we catch it on sale, we'll usually get it. And people go, well, how much? Well, how much does your family eat? I mean, we go through 3 chickens a week at least, plus we'll pick 1, maybe 2 other proteins. Meaning, okay, like this past week, we bought our 3 chickens. I bought a bag of tilapia, and then we bought a pound of beef for the chili because we knew we were making chili. My family went through all of that. We still have the tilapia in there because we haven't done that yet, but because it's frozen, it's cool, like it's safe. How long can you keep your meat? You might want to write this down. You'll read people that, people say 3 days and it's done, and that's bull. 7 to 10 days, okay? You want to cook it within 3 to 4 days. So if you've got raw chicken or raw beef in your fridge, you'll want to cook it within 3 to 4 days. So usually that's why we do, most of the time I'll do my meal prep, which is basically when usually I do it on Sunday. That's when I cook the chickens. If I'm not going to make the, like say I have beef and I know, okay, well I've cooked the chickens and I have the soup and I have this, and so I don't want to make chili or shepherd's pie or whatever I'm going to make with that beef. I don't want to make that until Thursday. Then I would put the beef in the freezer and I would thaw it out Thursday to make it, or you could even thaw it out Wednesday. If it's raw, 3 to 4 days. If your meat is fully cooked, 10 days is when it gets scary, all right? So say you make a soup with chicken in it, that should last you at least a week. And if you're skeptical about, like for me, that when I make a soup, I have a huge stock pot, a huge soup pot. That's where I make my soup. Oftentimes I will give it away. If I make a ton, I'll give it away to neighbors. I'll give it away. I have a very dear friend that had surgery today. I'm going to take her family some. So you can give it away now, or you can freeze it. How do you freeze it? I don't care. However you want to. I do it in glass jars. That's my gig. Not everybody digs the whole glass jar thing. You can do freezer bags if you prefer freezer bags, but I do glass jars. And then if you're my family, you forget that you have it, and then you have a friend that either has a baby or has surgery or something comes up and you need to give them food, and guess what? You got a freezer full of nice glass jars that you can send to them, and they will be forever grateful, I guarantee you. So that's the deal. Did you get that? If it's raw, 3 to 4 days. If it is cooked, 7 to 10. Past the 10-day mark, I really don't even bother smelling it. I just throw it out. I don't even give it to the dogs. My husband will tell me that it's still good, and I'm like, oh no. So that's the basic rule of thumb is 7 to 10 days. Okay. So once I get to my proteins, okay, so now we've done that. Once I get past my proteins, and I do 2 to 3 proteins a week for my family. All right, now if your family is chicken crazy and they'll eat chicken everything, then you can just buy a bunch of chicken. That's not a big deal. But most people want a little more variety to their diet. So maybe you have chicken, turkey, and beef, or maybe you have chicken, fish, and pork. You know, I apologize for my dogs. They're even outside. Okay, so, you know, just mix it up, figure out what you're going to do. Cook the protein. That's when I do my meal prep. I will usually cook the protein first because everything else is usually a lot easier. You do not have to love soups, by the way, if you want to do meal prep. That's just me. Once I finish my proteins, knowing which proteins I'm going to get, then I will go on and I'll go to the aisles. Okay? So I put aisle, or you could put inside or whatever you want to put. What's in the aisle? In the aisle are all your canned goods. That's any canned vegetables, beans, anything like that, tuna, all of that you might use. That's what's going to be in your aisle. Anything that you need for certain recipes, like stock or seasonings, or maybe you're low on sugar. Maybe you need some stevia. Maybe you need some coffee creamer and you like the powdered non-dairy kind. It's going to be in the aisle. That's what you write there. You need to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting. And then the other thing that I have is dairy, and that's over here. I don't do a lot of dairy personally because it messes up my stomach, but we buy 3 jugs of milk every week. We buy eggs, which is in the dairy department. We buy 3 containers of eggs every week. And then we also buy in the frozen foods, we usually get waffles. Sometimes we'll get frozen green beans or frozen mixed vegetables, whatever that is. And it's just like super easy to grab and fix, you know. The more vegetables that you have available to people, the more readily people, including yourself, will eat vegetables. And vegetables are a key to health overall. I'm not just talking about weight loss. I'm talking health. You need vegetables are good. And that's it. So I basically have this up here. Honest to goodness, please do not discount how important that is. You need to know what's going on. You need to know what you have, and you need to know what you want. And that's going to help you fill in all of this over here. All right. Get your family's opinion. If you have a family that you live with, get your family's opinion on what y'all are going to do. Make it an experience. If you're lucky enough to have dinner nights almost every night, make that very special, you know, and don't make it into a fight over, you know, yes, we're having kale, and although my kids love kale, but they love it in chips. We do kale chips. We make kale chips super easy. And it's opened them up to more leafy greens and whatnot. So, you know, that's your most important part to me. I don't care how you mix and match the rest of your grocery list. That's the most important part. So key points, and I'll try to put these in the email as well. Key points. Make sure that you know what's going on that week. Make sure you know what you have, and make sure you know what you want before you ever make your list. Then you're going to pick your proteins and make sure that you have 2 to 3 proteins per week. We usually look at what's on sale and go from there. And then from there, you'll shop the store in your mind the way that you would in the store. So look at your produce section, go to your proteins, go to your aisles, go to your dairy. Make sure that you nail everything that you need, including those specialty items in case you got stuff going on like Thanksgiving. And then make sure that you plan ahead and know when you're eating out, when you need to have food ready. Maybe this day is going to be like super jam-packed. You're not going to be able to throw dinner together. So maybe you need to go ahead and have it ready the day before and heat it up when you get home. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So hopefully this helps. Oh, and the proteins, right? 3 to 4 days for raw meat, 7 to 10 if it's fully cooked in the fridge. If you leave it out overnight, honey, just throw that away. Whoops, we've done that before. All right, so hopefully this helps, and keep sending me questions. Make sure that you fill out the paperwork that I send you if it's got questions on there to fill out. send it back to me, and you will get some personalized stuff back within a few days. So hopefully it's helping you, and I look forward to sharing more. Thanks, Tiffany. Bye.